What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I'm going to talk to you about Faraday Future. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what just came out from Faraday, and what it does truly signal. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So right now it is up 4.75%. Pre-market did have a high of $2.90, so a lot of optimism. And then as soon as the market kind of opened, it did pull back. But the news that did come out is fairly okay. So I'm going to go over that in a second. But 33.2 million shares being traded, 7.6 is the average. So a fair share of volume. But looking right here on the secondary market, no big transactions occurring other than one. And regrettably, it is a sell for 323,000. But you have shorts on the flip side, returning roughly around net 65,000 shares. 35.82% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 3.98 million shares. So when it comes to the news that did come out, it's good and bad. So I want to go over all that. So Faraday did sign a agreement, and that's just for a office space and engineering space in the UAE. So the bad side is it is right here, late 2025, early 2026, kind of in line with their sub-brand, their lower brand, which is going to be projected to be late 2025. So it's another one of those things that it's in the future. So if you're investing now, don't anticipate any crazy swings up until clearly 2026. So you have to be comfortable with that. But reading between the lines, this shows more of a bigger commitment coming from the UAE. So we already know that Lucid has the PIF. Many other entities out there have big names that's backing them. That pretty much is going to guarantee that Lucid isn't going to go belly up, right? The PIF isn't going anywhere. So I think in reality, Faraday just found its, I don't know how you want to call it, sugar daddy, as more of a comical kind of joke. But I think in reality, this is good for future financing. It's still based on this. It doesn't really talk on production numbers or anything what this is going to result in. So I think this might be just a hypothetical. But in general, though, this does kind of keep Faraday around. But like I said, I think Faraday going forward, the next round of dilution that they need to do, they really, really need to move away and pivot from that toxic convertible debt instruments. So if the UAE really does have Faraday's best interest, they will just do more of a kind of a, I don't know, just an issuance of actual shares without future convertible kind of notes to it at the end. So, or just warrants. I think Faraday does need to get rid of his warrants on the side note, which I think is coming due sometime in 2025, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, aside from that, so like I said, I think this it has good and bad attributes to it. So it kind of shows more of a longer term commitment, but that is a longer term. So it's not necessarily the best. Looking at options though, 166,000 in calls, 115,000 in puts. So a lot more volume than normal. 51% of all the options being done so far today are bearish. And that's actually what I mentioned in my last video is despite the high volatility, people are still buying puts, anticipating Faraday to go down. And actually, I did bring up Faraday in my pre-market video. At the time, it was up like 30%. And I said that this is all fine and dandy, but essentially once the market does open, I can't see that much in buyers really willing to back up the bus because of this news, only because of this time frame. Like if you were going to park your money from now until 2026, you're going to choose something a little bit safer potentially, or that has more growth than Faraday, because it's one thing if they were ramping up significantly on their kind of production right now, but they're not really even doing that. So I think there's a lot of hurdles that Faraday does need to get over before all of this kind of agreement comes to fruition and you have a lot of bigger names willing to really back up the bus with Faraday. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But aside from that, the fact that it is getting a lot of volume shows that algos are all over it, and you can tell that based on a lot of the barcoding. But let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Do you like this news? Are you similarly reading between the lines and kind of catching on that this does signal more of a long-term partnership where the UAE would be kind of continuously financing Faraday for the foreseeable future? Or are you seeing some other aspect to this? This is kind of the writing on the wall. We already knew that entity was formed. I believe I did a video on it in June, and at the time nobody was really talking about it. So I wish they would have done it sooner, signed this agreement, because they built that business, right? So it was formed in May or June of this year. So I think in reality, this is good, but I think the timing, they could speed things up a little bit more. And I think even aside from that, they need to explain how they're going to come and build this, because even in Lucid's case, I'm not saying Faraday is going to be at the same capacity as Lucid, but Lucid, to build their facility AMP2 in Saudi Arabia, that has cost roughly, I think, 4 or 5 billion. A huge amount, immense amount, and I think there still is a lot more to be done, essentially. So I'd be very curious on finding out how Faraday is going to finance all this. So once again, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. 2 things: take advantage of this promo because it gives you 8 free shares. Free is good, free is amazing, so take advantage of that. And then aside from that, if you do like my content, want to support the channel, definitely do so by joining as a member. Link in the description below and also the comments to that. Or if you just want buy signals on stocks and options, then once again, take a look at that. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.